So tell us about what the different types of insurances that come into play after a car accident.
Absolutely. So first, each state is different. So each state has different types of insurances, and these types work differently. Now, if you pull out the very top page of your insurance policy, we call that a DEC page, DEC, and that's short for declarations page. And it lists out the different types of coverages you have, which in Tennessee and Kentucky, different ones are available, and the systems work differently. Now, there's a lot of different types of insurance you can have on a car. The types that we probably are going to focus on are the ones that deal with medical coverage and bodily injury, and can it pay for medical bills, that sort of thing. Now, in Tennessee, you have, generally speaking, you have liability insurance, and you have which stands for under or uninsured motorist coverage, and you have medical payments coverage. Beyond that, you'll see other coverages listed, such as towing, rental, other types that deal with property damage. Now, in Kentucky, you will generally have liability, uninsured motorist coverage, no insurance. You'll have a third type in Kentucky called UIM, which is underinsured motorist coverage. And then you won't have MedPay like in Tennessee. You will have what's called PIP, or personal injury protection, that the insurance industry sometimes calls no fault. It gets complicated in a hurry, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It really is difficult to peel it all apart. Yeah.
Absolutely. A lot of acronyms.
And they don't mean the same thing in the same places. Like we said, in Tennessee, we just have but in Tennessee, that means under or uninsured motorist. In Kentucky, means something different. It means no insurance or uninsured motorist. So even the same acronym depends upon what state you're in.
Absolutely. And that's why we need experts like you who know this and can explain it all to us and make sure we're doing the right thing. So going back, can you explain what liability coverage is and why it's important?
Sure. And remember this, you need attorneys because the insurance company has attorneys. I mean, I used to represent the insurance companies. They have attorneys and they have experts in the law called adjusters. I would recommend you get an attorney, who does this type of work. So the liability coverage that you're asking about it pays for damage that you do. So if you as a driver hit someone else and cause injury to them or harm to them, then your liability coverage does a couple things. Number one, it means the insurance company will hire a lawyer, like they used to hire me, to represent you, and the insurance company will pay for any harms or losses or damages you did. So that's what liability is. Now, I don't know if you want me to jump on to but I think is more important in Tennessee, because that covers you if the other person does not have insurance. So if you have insurance, if you're going to get insurance, get the because that's the insurance that covers you if someone without any insurance hits you and hurts you. And same thing in Kentucky. That's what that does. In Kentucky, if the person has no insurance, but you have then you're covered. So while liability, it pays other people for harm that you do, the UM's the good stuff. The is what covers you when some crazy fool comes across the center line and hits you and doesn't have insurance.
Absolutely. So what does full coverage mean when people refer to it in the context of car insurance?
I hate the word full coverage. I cannot stand it when people say full coverage. And here's why. Full coverage is that is not a legal word. People throw it around and say, oh, don't worry, I've got full coverage, I'm fully covered. That is not a legal word. That is not an insurance word. It is, I don't know what it means. I think it is a word that gets thrown around that can mean a lot of different things. And when people say, oh, don't worry, I'm fully covered, that doesn't tell me anything. I have to dig in and find out. Generally, what people mean, though, when they say full coverage, is they're saying, I have liability. I have coverage that covers me if I hurt somebody else. and I have UM, I have coverage that will cover me if somebody else hurts me. And then I guess people also mean when they say full coverage that they're covered for property damage, rental, towing, but again, it's not an insurance company word. It's not a legal word. It's just something that's thrown around by people that, I'm not sure what it means. You have to ask that person, well, what do you mean by full coverage?
Yeah, exactly. And why can it be almost dangerous to kind of throw around that kind of terminology in these cases?
Yes, because you're saying something without saying anything. And I've even seen insurance agents do it. Oh, don't worry, I gave you full coverage. Well, I don't know what that means. Does that mean you have liability, you have and property damage, or it's an undefined term? So it's not a great term to use because it doesn't mean anything. But again, I've even heard insurance agents say, "Oh, I sold you full coverage." And in Kentucky, I said in Kentucky you have liability, you have and you have UIM, and you have PIP. So does what combination of those does full coverage mean? And in Tennessee, you basically have liability, There is no UIM in Tennessee, and you've got what's called med pay coverage. Is what combination of those is full coverage? So see, even when you say full coverage, I don't know. There's different coverages in different states. So I have no idea what it means.